Hello everyone, Russ of Aquariumax here, and as you can see, I've finally started my new dart frog vivarium project. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make my vivarium fruit fly proof. My wife likes dart frogs, but she's not at all fond of fruit flies. And the methods that I've used to control the escape of fruit flies in the past have been pretty effective but not all that attractive. So this time I wanted it to look really nice. So my first step was to research. I turned to dendroboards.com, a forum site that is dedicated to all aspects of dart frog care. On that site, there's a detailed thread that explains step by step how to create a vivarium vent for dart frogs using window screen framing and very fine mesh. I could have tried to make this entirely myself, but I didn't have all the tools I needed, nor did I have a lot of expertise with window screening. So I actually found a local professional window screen maker to help me out. It just so happens that he's interested in setting up a dart frog vivarium someday. So first we talked about exactly what I wanted. I needed to let him know exactly the specifications of the project, that it needed to utilize a very, very fine mesh, much finer than the window screening that he usually worked with, and that it needed to be extremely precise in terms of measurement so that the fruit flies could not escape. I also wanted the framing to be a color that would blend in fairly well with the vivarium. So I sent him a link to the Dendroboard thread so he could consult that, and then he came over and took some precise measurements of the aquarium and of the glass cover. And then, when he was ready and he had found an appropriate mesh, he came and built the vent on site. So the vent has several components. It has an aluminum frame, plastic connectors, which he needed to trim down because the vent was so narrow, spline, which is the flexible rubber tubing that pushes into the grooves and holds the screen or the mesh in place, and then finally the mesh itself. So when he was ready, he brought his saw over here in his truck and measured everything again just to be very, very precise. I actually got to observe almost all of the process. I noticed how precise he was with the measurements, and he was very careful. He actually removed the mesh and the spline a couple of times, remeasured, bent some things because the aluminum frame is made to be bent a little bit so that there's an interplay between the tautness of the mesh and the straightness of the framing itself. So he brought it in and measured it a few times, took it back out, redid it, and he did that about 3 times until it was just about perfect. We were wondering whether or not we would need to use some weather stripping or a strip of felt or some tape or something like that to prevent the flies from escaping. At this point, it really looks like this vent is extremely tight and we won't need to worry about that. However, I'm prepared to deal with that in the future if I need to, just by placing some tape over the seams. But at this point, I think it is precise enough that flies are not going to escape from this vent. I really think the most likely avenue of escape for the flies at this point is right here, this gap underneath where the hinges meet. And I'm going to need to put some weather stripping or some type of foam adhering to the glass, or maybe adhering to the frame of the aquarium, so that the flies don't escape from here. So for the next step, I'm going to need to add those bits of foam so the thing is really tight, and then I'm going to count out some flies carefully, put them in, and leave them in for an amount of time, long enough for them to be able to escape, and then count them again and see if it's really working. So I'm really excited about this vivarium build finally moving forward. Right now I'm considering lighting options. There are a lot of good LED options, but some of those are very expensive, and others appear to be out of stock in the places I would usually purchase them. So right now I'm considering what to do about that. But if you'd like to see the next installment in this vivarium build, watch this space. Thanks for watching today. I release videos every Friday all about aquarium and vivarium pets. Please feel free to leave a comment or a like, and if you haven't already,
subscribe.